Hey ambitious professionals, it's Linda Rayner of lindarayner.com, guiding you to a career and life you'll truly enjoy. And in today's video, I'm going to teach you my 5 steps on how to prepare for a one-on-one meeting with your manager or boss, especially if it's a performance review meeting and you're wanting to request either a salary increase, a promotion, or a special project to work on. As a career strategist, I've had the honor of being able to help numerous professionals land their dream job offers. And if this is something that you're interested in working with me one-on-one, I can give you details about that at the end of this video. Now, when it comes to a performance meeting with your boss or manager, there are several things that you need to be aware of before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting. So here are the things. Tip number 1, before the meeting, prepare your value and accomplishments stories ahead of time. In order to convince your boss or manager that you are a strong performer at your work and that you deserve whatever it is that you plan to request of them, you need to have clear, quantifiable achievements to be able to articulate to your manager in the meeting. And so to help you with this process, some questions that you can ask yourself involve, what have I done in the last year or 6 months that have been beyond my typical daily duties and tasks? Then ask yourself, what was the situation surrounding those events? What was the problem or issue that people were having to deal with? How were people in the company feeling about this situation, including yourself? Then ask yourself, what action steps did I take? And don't be overly detailed. Talk about it from a high-level perspective. What were the key phases or the key steps that you implemented? And then finally, ask yourself, what were the results? Be clear. Hopefully they're quantifiable results that actually show a vast difference from the situation before to what you ended up helping to achieve. Tip number 2 before the meeting is to make sure that you are clear on what you plan to request. Now this is pretty obvious, but if you plan to ask for a raise, or you think you deserve a promotion, or you want to ask for a vacation, or you want to ask to work on an important project, just be clear about whatever that thing is that you want to request, obviously before you go into the meeting. Now let's get into the steps that you'll do during the meeting. Step number 1, listen to what your boss or manager has to say. Generally, they'll start off the meeting with an agenda or purpose of what they want to discuss with you. So don't be the first to speak. Let he or she say what they've planned to say, and you can just sit back and listen. Now, step number 2 is to assess whether it's the right time to move forward with your request or stop to ask for constructive criticism. Where some professionals go wrong in these performance reviews is that they have a complete opposite perception of their own performance compared to what their manager has of them. Depending on their personality, for some of you professionals, either you think that you're doing way better than what your manager is perceiving you to be, or you feel that you're doing way worse than what your manager perceives you to be doing. Now, depending on whether the feedback is positive or negative, you want to adjust your game plan accordingly. If your boss or manager had nothing but good things to say about you and gave you a great review, then you can proceed to step number 3, which is to articulate your value and accomplishments. Now, if you just got a negative performance review, then you want to pause for a second and you want to ask your boss to explain and give specific examples or circumstances that prove what they're saying and that justify your performance review. And this isn't a time to argue. It's a time to listen intently and even take notes if you can. So here's the thing. If you are in a performance review meeting and you're getting negative feedback from your manager, then instead of making your request, which you had planned to initially, you want to put that on hold and instead be able to walk away from the meeting with a clear plan of action. Ask your manager to provide you with his or her expectations for what they want of you over the next 6 months, for example, and make sure that you understand exactly what those objectives are, what you need to do to achieve those objectives or exceed those expectations so that you can get your performance back to a level that is positive so that then at that point in time you can make your request. Now, for those of you who've gotten positive performance reviews, then step number 3 is to articulate your value and accomplishments. So you'll start out by saying something along the lines of, As you know, over the last year or X number of months, I've been able to demonstrate my value and accomplished several achievements that have been above and beyond my role. And from there, go into your example. So start describing the specific instances where you have gone above and beyond, the situation, the action, and the results from those. Make sure that you're brief and concise and really only bring about the accomplishments that are the most important. So don't go overboard and start talking about more than 4 or 5 accomplishments in a row. And finally, step number 4, make your request. You'll then say, as a result of the value that I've been able to demonstrate to the team and the company, I'd like to request blank and state your request there. Then the next thing you want to do is be silent. Just look them in the face with a pleasant expression on your face and see how your boss or manager responds. And then after that, step number 5 is to ask for next steps and their expectations of you. So your boss will likely have said, okay, well, let me get back to you on that. And then your response will be, okay, so can we talk about next steps and expectations for the future? You want to leave the meeting with clear expectations of what your boss or manager has for you for the near future. So you don't want to leave the meeting without having an understanding of what those are. That way, in order to maintain your level of performance, you'll be able to create goals and targets for yourself that match to the expectations of what your boss requires of you. Also, you want to ask them for the time frame for when they're going to get back to you on your request, just so that you have that in mind and that you can hold them accountable too to make sure that they get back to you. After the meeting, you want to do a few things. One thing is to send a follow-up email detailing the items that were discussed in the meeting and thanking your manager for their time. You can start it off by saying, thanks for meeting with me today and for providing my performance review. I plan to implement the steps and achieve the targets we discussed, and I look forward to hearing confirmation for my request. So there you have it. Those are my tips and steps on how to prepare for a performance review meeting with your boss or manager. Now, if you're someone who's been on this path of searching for a new position, you want to make a career change, you've been looking for a while but you just haven't had much luck, and you're ready to get one-on-one professional help, then feel free to reach out to me. Head on over to my website, lindarainer.com/standoutgethired. Read through the page, fill out the application form, and if we feel that we are a match, then one of my team members will reach out to you directly. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share it with your friends. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.